Every year, a new smartphone would appear offering something noticeably different. Screens kept getting larger, cameras evolved from simple snapshots into high-quality imaging systems, and phones became faster and powerful enough to run games and applications that once seemed impossible on such a small device. But today, things are different. If you buy a flagship phone this year and compare it to a flagship from 3 years ago, you'll notice the gap is not that significant. You might get a slightly better camera or a faster processor, but in the end, you'll still use the phone in the same way, opening apps, browsing the internet, and watching videos. The reason is that smartphones are now very close to the practical limits of what meaningful improvements feel like for the average user. In other words, today's smartphone is simply good enough for most people. In the past, it was easy to notice major leaps between generations. Today, however, smartphones are already so fast that most users won't perceive a real difference in daily tasks. The difference between each generation has become less noticeable. So we begin to ask, is this the end of the smartphone? Honestly, I don't think so. In my view, what is happening today is not the end of the smartphone, but rather the end of its role as the single dominant device in our digital lives. I believe smartphones will remain with us for many years, because they are still the simplest and most intuitive devices to use. Companies like Apple, Meta, and Google are not trying to eliminate the smartphone, but rather to make technology more seamless, reducing the need to constantly interact with a screen. But in my opinion, the real question remains, are people actually ready to give up the smartphone as their primary interface? Because no matter how advanced smart glasses or new devices become, the smartphone will likely remain the simplest, clearest, and fastest tool to use. That is why I believe we are not heading toward the end of the smartphone, but rather toward a stage where it is no longer everything, but instead just one part of everything.